It is almost certain now that Mojang is no longer gonna release big, major content updates for Minecraft. Instead, fully opting for the new and more frequent game drops. But this also brings up some questions. Like, what is gonna happen with potential very big updates that would take a lot of time to develop? And if we're not gonna get a new major update, then we're also not getting 1.22. But what is gonna happen to the numbering then? Well, this is what the community has been speculating about for these past few weeks. And actually, for this past year, when Mojang announced that from now on, they're gonna release new content in game drops instead of big yearly summer updates, the community has been speculating about what this will actually mean for the game and its development. While Mojang said they were gonna go all in with the game drops, a part of the community seemed to still think that every once in a while, we will still get a major update. But as far as we can see, it doesn't really look like that's actually gonna happen. So I was watching a video from Phoenix SC about this whole Minecraft version number thing, and in his video he quoted a Minecraft developer named David, who on a live stream said this.
So anyways, we've been on 1.21 for a while. It's been the longest we've had any version number. And we're trying to figure out, like, okay, we need to, you want a version number that works for both Bedrock and Java. It's going to be clear to the community what's going on. Make it obvious that it's game drops and not a big annual update like it used to be. So stay tuned. It's not going to be too long. We'll have an official post on Minecraft.net that's going to explain what the new version numbers will be. I don't want to say exactly when, but not very long. So pretty soon you're going to figure out, like, okay, what's the future beyond 1.21? I know a lot of people are expecting it to be a 1.22, but don't, we're doing game drops now. If we did 1.22, players would be expecting that to be a super duper update because we haven't had 1.21 was Tricky Trials. They would be expecting Tricky Trials plus more because it's been so long, and that no, we're doing game drops.
Now, Phoenix says in his video that he doesn't really know how to interpret this, and honestly, I don't have the answers either, but to me at least, it does seem very, very clear that big major content updates that we've been getting basically since the inception of this game are no longer gonna happen. So the thing that Mojang used to do, the 1.16 update, the Nether update, they would add a bunch of new things to the game. It was a very big update. And then in version 1.16.1 and 1.16.2, they would do some bug fixes and resolve some issues. But that was basically all the content we got. And 1.17, that would be the next major content drop. Well, that whole concept really seems like that's no longer gonna happen. They're now all gonna be game drops. So to those who thought that every once in a while we are gonna get a big update, maybe not yearly, but maybe every few years, it really doesn't seem like that's gonna happen. But of course, this also raises a few questions. Because if we're no longer gonna get a big major content update, how are they gonna take on big projects? And this is also why I took 1.16 as an example. 1.16 completely overhauled the Nether. It changed as good as everything in that dimension. They added biomes, they added a bunch of blocks, 2 types of wood, new mobs. You could see the list just now. It is endless. But now that we have content drops, which are way smaller updates, how are they gonna overhaul a whole dimension that really needs some attention? Like, so far this year, we've received 3 game drops, with 1 coming soon. In June, we got Chase the Skies, and that was a very cool game drop. But the amount of content which they actually added was rather small. Still very cool, but small. Which is not a problem on its own, because we're now simply getting more updates each year. But what is that gonna look like in case they want to do something like the Nether update? A very big and major update that is literally gonna take like a year to develop, or maybe even longer. Because we happen to have a beautiful dimension that really needs some attention. And I feel like the end update at this point is the most requested update by far. Players want the dimension to be overhauled so bad. But if all the updates are gonna be game drops now, meaning that they're small, they're most likely not gonna do that. Or at least, they're not gonna do that in one go. If you want to know my theory, I think that there will be no major end update. I don't think we're gonna get an update that just completely overhauls the end in one go. Instead, I feel like if Mojang actually wants to overhaul the end, they're gonna do it step by step. So maybe in the first game drop, they will add a new mob to the end, as well as a new type of stone. And then in the next game drop, they're gonna overhaul the Ender Dragon fight, and maybe add more islands. And then the game drop after that, they're gonna give the end more biomes, and over time, slowly, the end is gonna be more and more overhauled. And I think that is a more realistic scenario at this point. David, who is an active Mojang employee, was pretty confident in saying that we're gonna do game drops now, 1.22 is not coming. So that really makes me believe that if they want to do something big like an end update, it's gonna be done in small parts. And then the version number, 1.22, is not coming. They ain't doing 1.22. Because of course, all of these big version numbers, 1.20, 1.21, that number always changed when there was a big content update. The yearly ones that they're no longer doing now. So we currently have 1.21.11 on the horizon. But now of course the speculation is going wild because David said, we're gonna change up the version number. We're not gonna do 1.22. We need something else that makes sense. And that is why I want to share my theories. Because I've been thinking about this for a bit. And I personally think, maybe I'm gonna be completely wrong. Like, maybe I'm gonna be so wrong and you guys will all be laughing at me as soon as Mojang announces it. But I want to drop it anyway, just in case I'm right. I think that Mojang is gonna pull an apple. Not this apple, this apple. I think that Mojang is gonna change the version number according to the year we're in. So currently we have 1.21.10. We know that 1.21.11 is in the works, which is a crazy high number, and they have announced that 1.21.2 is not coming. Or well announced, they haven't announced it yet, but David dropped it on stream, and I think he's right. So what is gonna happen then? Well, I think there are multiple different options. One that I think could be kinda logical is 1.26. Not 26 because it is the 26th major update, but 26 because next year it is gonna be 2026. And that they're gonna change this number according to the year. But then of course 1.26 is not gonna be a version on its own, it's also gonna have a sub number, which would then indicate which update of the year it is. So the first game drop of 2026 would have this number, 1.26.1, which then means the year is 2026 and it is the first game drop. The second game drop will have this number, or maybe the second update in general, and then 1.26.3 is gonna be the next game drop, and then as soon as 2027 hits, this number here is gonna become 1 again, and this one is going to be 7, just like that. Potentially, they might even be removing this section altogether. Maybe this 1 is no longer going to be there. It could be that it's just going to be 26.1, and then Minecraft 26.2 and 3, you know, so on. Could also be, because, you know, this number, it's not going to change. There have been memes about this for so long, you know, Minecraft 2 releasing, where this number would actually change. I don't think that's going to happen, and I also don't really think this number makes a whole lot of sense. So maybe they will get rid of it altogether. It could also be, but this is kind of unlikely, that they are gonna release Minecraft version 1.22, but then every single update, this number is gonna go up. So the next game drop would be 1.22, and then the next bug fix would be 1.23, and then the next game drop after that would be 1.24. That is a route they could take. I don't see them doing this. It could also be that they're gonna pull a Windows, and that this number is gonna do kind of the same thing as the Minecraft snapshots. So for example, the first game drop of 2026 would then be 26, and then we do GD for game drop, and then 1. I don't know, just random thought. I know Windows is doing this thing where latest update now is called 25H2, which is like the second major Windows update for 2025, or 26 version 2. Huh? Version 3, maybe. Or maybe they're gonna do exactly the same thing as with their snapshots currently. So the latest snapshot is a 25W46A. So the 25 here stands for 2025. The W stands for week, and 46 is the week number. And then A means the first one. So in other words, this literally means the first snapshot released in the 46th week of 2025. Maybe they're gonna do something like this with their major updates too. where there's gonna be an R, which means release, and then 25W and then the week number. And then maybe we can even remove this, because I doubt they're gonna release multiple major versions in a single week, but they could. You know, it could be something like this as well. I don't know. Do let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. It is definitely fun to speculate about this a little bit, but I also do think that 1.22, that's not gonna happen. We're not gonna get that version. They're either gonna pull an Apple and they're gonna do 1.26, or they're gonna use the snapshot numbering, but then also for major releases, something like that. We will see though. With that being said, that's it for today. Do make sure to subscribe to the channel, join my Discord. Thank you so much, channel members, and then I will see you in the next one. Bye bye, see you later, bye bye!